Knock a movie ending out of the park and it can be the cherry on top, even elevating all that came before. But screw it up and it can derail all the hard work leading up to that point. And then there are those endings so off-kilter, so utterly bewildering and unexpected that audiences might be left unsure of precisely what to think about them. Now that is totally the case with these recent movie endings, each of which challenged viewers with their left-field twists and ambitious deviations from formula. So I'm Gareth, you are watching What Culture, and here are 10 insane endings from recent movies. Number 10, Better Man. Better Man is about as insane as musical biopics get, depicting pop icon Robbie Williams as an anthropomorphic chimp as a reflection of how Williams views himself. Totally unevolved. The film climaxes with Williams' record-breaking 2003 performance at Nebworth Festival, where he finds himself overcome by his own thoughts of self-doubt, symbolized by past versions of himself verbally abusing him. This leads to a mesmerizing sequence where Robbie clashes with his other selves in a surreal Battle Royale-esque fight to the death, stabbing the other Robbies with a sword, while accompanied by Williams' anthemic "Let Me Entertain Ya." Though a moving sequence follows in which Robbie reconciles with his father, Peter, it's the fight scene that's most likely to stick with viewers as the end credits roll. The battle finally allowing Robbie to realize that he needs to address his personal issues. Also, can we get more bold, off-the-wall musical biopics like this, please? I'm loving these ones instead. Thank you. Right, speaking of musical biopics, I want to know right now, what is your favorite music biopic thing of all time? Is it Better Man? If it's not, let me know what is in the comments down below. Number 9, Flight Risk. Mel Gibson's new film, Flight Risk, is, for 97% of its runtime, a conventionally junky thriller. That doesn't leave much of a lasting impression, really. Its final few minutes, though? Whew, pure unhinged lunacy. After US Marshal Madeline crash-lands the imperiled plane on a runway, her hitman assailant is flung from the vessel and promptly killed when he's hit by an ambulance. How's that for irony? But just when the threat seems to be neutralized, Madeline notices a second hitman posing as a paramedic who attempts to suffocate informant Winston inside of an ambulance. What? Madeline swiftly shoots and kills the second assassin, before the film abruptly ends with a bizarre shot of firefighters and paramedics staring into the ambulance, presumably wondering what the hell just happened. And to make it even more odd, comic relief character Hassan awkwardly shuffles into frame a moment before we smash cut to the credits and the words "directed by Mel Gibson" appear, reminding everyone that yes, this chaotic mess was made by an Oscar-winning filmmaker. What a world. Number 8, Presence. Most of Steven Soderbergh's new film, Presence, isn't quite the horror romp that many were expecting, because despite taking place from the perspective of a ghost, it's actually more of a drama about a fractured family. However, Soderbergh cranks the lever to 11 in the final stretch, when it's revealed that protagonist Chloe's best friend Nadia did not die of a drug overdose, but was murdered by Ryan, a serial killer and friend of Chloe's brother Tyler. Ryan attempts to kill Chloe the same way, at which point the ghostly presence manages to get the attention of Tyler, who intervenes and tackles Ryan out of an upstairs window, killing them both, but saving his sister's life. And then comes the ingenious epilogue, where Chloe and her parents prepare to move out of their home, only for Chloe's mother Rebecca to spot the reflection of Tyler in the mirror. This confirms that Tyler was actually the presence all along, creating something of a closed loop, where his own death is ultimately what allows him to, as a spectre existing outside of time, wake his physical self up and save Chloe in the first place. Yeah, it's as trippy as it sounds. Moving on. Number 7, The Brutalist. Surely nobody saw the ending to The Brutalist coming, for after 3.5 hours of absorbing yet increasingly bleak drama, director Brady Corbett closed things out in wildly unexpected fashion. The film's epilogue leaps forward several decades to 1980, where a retrospective of architect Laszlo Toth's work is being held in Venice, showcasing the projects he completed in the preceding years. Here, Laszlo's now adult niece, Sophia, gives a speech, revealing that the Van Buren Institute he spent much of the movie trying to build was designed to resemble the concentration camps he and his late wife were incarcerated in. Sophia then signs off with the intriguing yet ambiguous final line, "No matter what the others try and sell you, it is the destination, not the journey," before the jarringly cheery Italian disco tune "One for You, One for Me" kicks in to play us out. Now, it's certainly an ending that's divided audiences, some appreciating the irony of Corbett ending his grim prestige movie with such an upbeat song, while others are still struggling to wrap their head around what the final scene is really saying about art and capitalism. If you've seen The Brutalist, let me know which group you fall into in the comments, my friend. Number 6, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. Though Den of Thieves 2, Pantera doesn't quite one-up the first film's wild twist, it nevertheless arrives at a balmy finale few will see coming. The bulk of the movie sees shady cop Nick O'Brien teaming up with his former foe Donnie Wilson to help carry out an ultra-ambitious heist. The film emphasizes the growing bond between the two despite previously being at odds. And it genuinely seems like Nick has abandoned his desire to capture Donnie in favor of enriching himself. But once the heist is complete at the end of the film, Donnie and the rest of his team are arrested, as it's revealed that Nick ratted them out. Yet there's one more sting in the tail to come, my friend. Though it appears that Nick has decided to rejoin the side of the law, the final sequence has Donnie and company being sprung from custody by the Sicilian Mafia, which a guilt-riddled Nick has helped facilitate. Nick's wishy-washy allegiances are damn ridiculous, yes. Hey, but it sure is fun to watch. And that's what's most important, right? And if you're also having all the fun watching this video right here, then tap subscribe down below and you'll get even more What Culture videos absolutely every single day, just popping up all over the place. Number 5, Heretic. The Hugh Grant starring horror film Heretic ends in fittingly deranged fashion, as just when it seems like the villainous Mr. Reed is gonna finish off our final girl, Sister Paxton, the believed dead Sister Barnes springs back to life and kills Reed with a plank of wood. Nailed him. Given that Reed straight up slit Barnes' throat, her sudden revival is totally ludicrous. Though it's ultimately only a temporary resurrection, as Barnes soon dies from her traumatic wounds, as you do. This leaves the far more timid and retiring Paxton as the story's sole survivor. And after she finally manages to escape Reed's basement, she heads outside where a butterfly lands on her hand. This is an obvious reference to an earlier discussion when Paxton mentioned wanting to be reincarnated as a butterfly that appears on the hands of loved ones. And while it seems to be a reference to the late Sister Barnes, it could also suggest that we're witnessing Paxton's own dying dream, and she never actually made it out alive. Whoa. And for a film entirely concerned with faith and belief, that seems like a rather apt, if absolutely wild, bow to put on the story, right? Number 4, Magpie. The wildly underseen thriller Magpie stars Daisy Ridley as Annette, a wife and mother whose daughter is cast in a film alongside a gorgeous actress, Alicia, with whom Annette's husband, Ben, becomes infatuated. The film leads the audience to believe that Alicia reciprocates Ben's romantic overtures, given the seriously horny text messages and videos the two exchange. But the brilliant twist ending reveals that after Annette found out that Ben and Alicia exchanged numbers, she took Ben's phone and secretly swapped Alicia's number with her own. Uh-oh. And so it was actually Annette who was posing as Alicia the entire time, even going to the trouble to stage a striptease video while wearing a wig and posing as Alicia. Commitment right there. Ben's burgeoning romance with Alicia was totally faked by Annette. And just as Ben realizes that he's been duped by his vengeful wife, he crashes his car, which quickly sets alight, implying that he most likely burns to death in the wreckage. This simmering, restrained, dramatic thriller sure as hell puts the pedal to the metal at the end, and it is absolutely delicious seeing Annette's savage plan play out to perfection. Number 3, Queer. Daniel Craig's surreal new drama Queer takes place in 1950s Mexico City, as an American expatriate, William Lee, becomes obsessed with a much younger man, Eugene Allerton. This being an adaptation of a William S. Burroughs novel, It's not terribly surprising that things get really, really weird in the home stretch, people. After the two men visit the Ecuadorian jungle and trip out on ayahuasca, they decide to leave, at which point we abruptly cut to 2 years later, where Lee resurfaces in Mexico City. Lee soon learns that Allerton has gone to South America, leading to a hallucinogenic final sequence where Lee finds a vision of Allerton in a hotel room, shoots him dead in a game of William Tell gone wrong, and the pair both vanish. Right. Lee then rematerializes in his own hotel room as an old man, where he curls up on the bed while recalling his time with Allerton. The implication being that Lee dies in the film's final moments. Queer is a polarizing film by its very nature, and very much sustains that hypnotic, beguiling rhythm all the way through to its final shot. Number 2, Your Monster. The terrifically entertaining Your Monster follows a despondent actress, Laura Franco, who discovers a monster living in her childhood home. After an uncomfortable introduction, the two ultimately become fast friends and later lovers. Though following an end of second act argument, the monster disappears. In the film's finale, Laura finally takes the stage to perform the role she's been preparing for, and during a break in the action, her playwright ex-boyfriend Jacob angrily admonishes her backstage. However, at this moment, the monster reappears, ripping Jacob's throat open and killing him, just before the curtains open to reveal a blood-stained Laura, while the monster is nowhere to be seen. Laura then performs the show's final song to a crowd that's increasingly alarmed by both the blood on her clothes and the presence of Jacob's corpse behind her, before Laura lets out a growl and her eyes change colour. The end! And what an end. The obvious implication is that the monster was never real and merely a manifestation of Laura's own rage. Yet, writer-director Caroline Lindy provocatively leaves the audience hanging on exactly what happens to Laura immediately after this gory climax. And finally, if you haven't seen The Monkey, major spoilers will follow right now. You've been warned. Number 1, The Monkey. Osgood Perkins' new film, The Monkey, is admittedly a pretty damn insane experience from start to finish, but it undeniably saves the wildest stuff for its last few minutes. After Bill attempts to forcibly make the monkey drum in an attempt to kill his twin brother, Hal, the monkey responds by letting out an epic drum solo that causes a basically apocalyptic level of destruction throughout the town, including but not limited to a plane crash. Afterwards, Bill and Hal finally reconcile, just as Bill is killed by a bowling ball that's fired at his head, obliterating his entire cranium. Lovely. This leaves Hal and his estranged son Petey to accept that they are now the custodians of the monkey, as they vow to never let anyone else turn the key again. If this somehow isn't wild enough for you, the pair then drive past what appears to be one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse riding a pale horse. And as they drive away, a group of cheerleaders lean out of their school bus window, only to all be instantly decapitated by a passing vehicle. I mean, sure, why the hell not?